The memories we once cherished from our favorite fast food spots are collapsing in real time. Chains that used to stand for reliability, consistency, and real value have devolved into chaotic operations where corporate incompetence directly fuels customer frustration. These aren't natural declines or shifting consumer tastes. They're the result of catastrophic mismanagement at the highest levels, where boardroom decisions translate into dining disasters that leave loyal customers wondering why they ever trusted these brands. What's happening across the fast food industry isn't adaptation, it's organizational failure dressed up as strategy. Behind every delayed order, health violation, staffing shortage, or sudden closure is a trail of negligence from executives prioritizing short-term profits over operational stability. Communities that once relied on these restaurants as dependable employers and gathering spots now see them as symbols of everything broken in modern franchise management. Today, we're exposing 7 fast food chains whose mismanagement has become so extreme that their continued existence is nothing short of shocking. Number 7. Jack in the Box. The West Coast burger chain that built its reputation on quirky marketing and late-night convenience has become a textbook example of how inconsistent leadership and franchise tensions can destroy operational stability. What should be a straightforward business model has devolved into a confusing maze of conflicting strategies, neglected locations, and systematic failures that leave customers wondering if anyone is actually running the company. The leadership carousel at Jack in the Box headquarters has created an environment where long-term planning becomes impossible and short-term band-aids replace sustainable solutions. Each new executive team arrives with fresh initiatives that contradict previous strategies, creating confusion throughout the franchise network and leaving individual operators without clear direction or consistent support. Menu changes happen without proper testing or training, promotional campaigns launch without adequate preparation, and operational standards shift based on whoever happens to be in charge that quarter. Franchise relationships have deteriorated into adversarial negotiations, where corporate demands clash with operational realities. Store owners report receiving directives that ignore local market conditions, equipment limitations, and staffing constraints. When locations struggle to implement unrealistic corporate mandates, the blame falls on franchisees rather than the leadership that created impossible situations. This toxic dynamic has resulted in widespread non-compliance with brand standards as operators choose survival over corporate satisfaction. The inconsistency extends directly to customer experiences, where identical menu items vary dramatically between locations and visits. Kitchen equipment receives minimal maintenance investment, creating breakdowns that disrupt service and compromise food quality. Staff training programs exist more on paper than in practice, leaving employees unprepared for basic operational requirements and customer service expectations. The result is a dining experience that feels more like gambling than grabbing a reliable meal. Supply chain management has become increasingly unreliable as corporate cost-cutting measures create inventory shortages and quality control lapses. Locations frequently run out of signature items during peak hours, while fresh ingredients arrive spoiled or past expiration dates. The procurement systems that should ensure consistent product availability instead create daily uncertainty about what will actually be available to serve customers. Number 6. Church's Chicken. The Louisiana-inspired fried chicken chain has transformed from a regional favorite into a cautionary tale of how weak corporate oversight and supply chain dysfunction can destroy brand credibility. What began as inconsistent quality has escalated into systematic operational failures that make reliable service nearly impossible across their network of aging locations. The corporate structure at Church's appears designed more for cost reduction than operational excellence. Individual franchises operate with minimal oversight, creating wildly inconsistent experiences that undermine any attempt at brand cohesion. Some locations maintain reasonable standards, while others operate as if health codes and customer service protocols are merely suggestions rather than requirements. This lack of centralized control has created a brand where customers never know what type of experience awaits them. Supply chain issues have reached critical levels where restaurants regularly run out of chicken during dinner rush periods. The irony of a chicken restaurant unable to serve its primary product reflects deeper procurement problems that corporate management seems incapable of addressing. When chicken is available, quality varies dramatically based on storage conditions, preparation methods, and equipment functionality that receives inadequate maintenance and replacement investment. Store conditions have deteriorated across the network, as deferred maintenance creates environments that feel more like abandoned buildings than functioning restaurants. Broken equipment operates at reduced capacity, creating longer wait times and inconsistent food preparation. Dining areas feature cracked floors, damaged seating, and lighting systems that create an atmosphere of neglect rather than welcoming hospitality. The physical deterioration sends clear messages about corporate priorities that value cost-cutting over customer experience. Employee training and retention have become secondary concerns as locations struggle with constant turnover and minimal preparation for new hires. Staff members often lack basic knowledge about menu items, preparation procedures, and customer service standards. The resulting confusion creates order errors, extended wait times, and interactions that feel more like negotiations than transactions. Number 5. Checkers and rallies. The double drive-through concept that once represented efficiency and convenience has devolved into a system barely held together by aging infrastructure and inadequate corporate support. What should be a streamlined operation has become a series of operational bottlenecks that create frustration for customers and employees alike. The aging equipment that defines Checkers and Rally's locations has reached critical failure points where basic functionality becomes unreliable. Drive-through systems malfunction regularly, creating communication breakdowns that turn simple orders into extended ordeals. Kitchen equipment operates at reduced capacity when it functions at all, creating preparation delays that undermine the speed-focused positioning that originally defined the brand. The corporate response to these infrastructure problems appears limited to temporary repairs rather than systematic replacement programs. Health code violations have become routine occurrences across the network, as inadequate cleaning protocols and equipment maintenance create sanitary conditions that frequently fail inspection standards. The frequency of these violations suggests systematic problems rather than isolated incidents, pointing to training deficiencies and oversight failures that corporate management has proven unable to address effectively. Franchise support systems have deteriorated to levels where individual operators receive minimal guidance for maintaining operational standards or addressing persistent problems. Store owners report feeling abandoned by corporate structures that collect fees while providing limited assistance with the day-to-day challenges that determine customer satisfaction and business viability. This lack of support creates a survival mentality where short-term fixes replace long-term solutions. The menu complexity that has expanded far beyond the original burger and fry focus has overwhelmed kitchen capabilities and created inventory management challenges that many locations cannot handle effectively. Staff members struggle with preparation procedures for items that require equipment and expertise that doesn't exist at their locations, resulting in quality inconsistencies that damage brand reputation and customer loyalty. Number 4. Steak and Shake. The classic burger and milkshake institution that once embodied American diner culture has become a masterclass in how crushing debt, reckless franchise decisions, and schizophrenic corporate strategy can systematically dismantle a beloved brand. What was once a reliable destination for quality burgers and hand-dipped shakes has transformed into a corporate disaster zone where financial desperation drives decisions that consistently prioritize survival over customer satisfaction. The debt crisis that has consumed Steak and Shake reflects years of expansion without adequate financial planning or operational foundation. Corporate leadership borrowed heavily to fund aggressive growth initiatives, while ignoring the fundamental systems needed to support new locations. When revenue failed to meet projections, the resulting financial pressure created a domino effect of cost-cutting measures that compromised every aspect of the dining experience from food quality to service standards. Franchise conversion strategies have been implemented with such haste and desperation that existing operators receive minimal preparation or support for managing independent operations. Locations that operated under corporate oversight for decades suddenly find themselves responsible for functions they were never equipped to handle, from supply chain management to marketing coordination. The transition process has created operational chaos where former employees become franchise owners overnight without the business expertise or capital reserves necessary for sustainable operations. Corporate strategy shifts happen with bewildering frequency as leadership teams attempt to find solutions to problems their predecessors created. Menu simplification initiatives launch without warning, eliminating popular items and confusing loyal customers who built dining habits around specific offerings. Service models change from table service to counter service and back again, creating confusion for both staff and patrons who never know what type of experience to expect from visit to visit. The signature milkshake program that defined Steak 'n Shake's identity has suffered dramatic quality deterioration as equipment maintenance becomes secondary to immediate financial pressures. Shake machines operate inconsistently when they function at all, creating lengthy delays for the very products that originally distinguished the brand from burger competitors. When shakes are available, they often lack the thickness and flavor consistency that built decades of customer loyalty. Store closures have accelerated as locations become financially unsustainable under the weight of debt service and declining customer traffic. The closures create gaps in market coverage that make Steak 'n Shake less convenient for remaining loyal customers, accelerating the spiral of declining revenue and further closures. Each shuttered location represents not just lost revenue, but damaged brand perception that affects the viability of surviving restaurants. Number 3. Burger King. The home of the Whopper has become ground zero for corporate instability, where revolving door leadership, constantly shifting marketing strategies, and widespread neglect of physical locations have created one of the most inconsistently managed major chains in the industry. What should be a straightforward burger operation has devolved into a case study of how leadership chaos directly translates into operational dysfunction. The executive turnover at Burger King corporate headquarters has reached levels that make long-term planning virtually impossible. Each new leadership team arrives with different priorities, strategies, and operational philosophies that contradict previous initiatives. Marketing campaigns launch and disappear without explanation, menu innovations get abandoned before reaching their potential, and operational standards change based on whoever happens to be making decisions that quarter. This constant strategic whiplash creates confusion throughout the franchise network and leaves individual operators without consistent direction. Marketing strategy has become a series of desperate attempts to recapture relevance through increasingly bizarre promotional campaigns that generate temporary social media buzz while failing to address fundamental operational problems. The focus on viral marketing moments diverts resources from the basic improvements needed to create satisfying customer experiences. Promotional tie-ins with celebrities, limited-time menu items, and social media stunts cannot compensate for slow service, cold food, and neglected dining environments. Store condition standards have deteriorated across the network, as deferred maintenance and minimal reinvestment create dining environments that feel abandoned rather than welcoming. Locations feature broken equipment, damaged seating, malfunctioning beverage machines, and restroom facilities that consistently fail basic cleanliness standards. The physical deterioration sends clear messages about corporate priorities that value cost reduction over customer experience and brand image. Franchise relationships have become increasingly adversarial as corporate demands conflict with operational realities at individual locations. Store owners report receiving directives that ignore local market conditions, staffing limitations, and equipment capabilities. When locations struggle to implement unrealistic corporate mandates, the responsibility falls on franchisees rather than the leadership that created impossible expectations. This toxic dynamic has resulted in widespread non-compliance with brand standards as operators prioritize survival over corporate satisfaction. The Whopper preparation that once represented Burger King's competitive advantage has become inconsistent across locations and visits as standardized procedures get compromised by staffing shortages and equipment problems. What should be a signature product that differentiates Burger King from competitors instead becomes another source of customer disappointment when preparation quality varies dramatically between experiences. Number 2. Boston Market. The rotisserie chicken chain has achieved the remarkable distinction of becoming the most spectacularly mismanaged major food service operation in America today. The combination of ongoing lawsuits, unpaid employee wages, systematic inventory, shortages, and complete corporate disarray has created operational chaos that makes basic restaurant functions nearly impossible to maintain. Legal troubles have reached levels that suggest fundamental corporate governance failures rather than isolated business disputes. Lawsuits from suppliers, employees, landlords, and franchise operators paint a picture of systematic contract violations and financial obligations that corporate management appears either unwilling or unable to meet. The frequency and scope of legal actions indicate deeper problems than temporary cash flow issues, pointing to operational incompetence that affects every aspect of business operations. Employee wage theft has become such a persistent problem that staff members at individual locations work without knowing if their paychecks will arrive or bounce. The failure to meet basic payroll obligations creates staffing instability that directly impacts customer service and food preparation quality. Locations operate with skeleton crews of employees who have no guarantee of compensation for their work, creating service levels that reflect the desperation of workers rather than professional hospitality standards. Inventory management has collapsed to levels where locations regularly run out of their signature rotisserie chicken during peak dining periods. The irony of a chicken restaurant unable to serve chicken reflects procurement failure so severe that basic business operations become impossible. When chicken is available, side dishes and beverages frequently run out, creating limited menu options that disappoint customers and reduce transaction values. Corporate communication with franchise operators has deteriorated to the point where individual locations receive contradictory directives or no guidance at all for addressing operational problems. Store owners report feeling abandoned by corporate structures that continue collecting fees while providing no meaningful support for maintaining business operations or resolving persistent challenges that affect customer satisfaction and financial viability. The corporate headquarters structure appears to function more as a fee collection mechanism than an operational support system. Franchise operators pay required fees while receiving minimal assistance with supply chain management, marketing coordination, or operational problem solving. This extraction model creates resentment throughout the network and contributes to the adversarial relationships that prevent collaborative solutions to systematic problems. The financial hemorrhaging has accelerated as locations become economically unsustainable under mounting operational costs and declining customer traffic. Store closures happen with little warning, leaving employees jobless and customers without access to their local Boston market. Each closure damages brand perception and reduces the network density that makes the remaining locations viable, creating a death spiral of declining revenue and further shutdowns. The few locations that remain open operate in survival mode where basic maintenance becomes impossible and customer service standards disappear entirely. Equipment breaks down without replacement, creating preparation delays that turn 30-minute lunch breaks into hour-long ordeals. Dining areas feature broken furniture, malfunctioning air conditioning, and restroom facilities that consistently fail basic sanitation requirements. Number 1. Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. The chain that achieved unprecedented viral fame through social media buzz and celebrity endorsements has paradoxically become the most chaotically mismanaged operation in fast food today. The explosive popularity that should have elevated Popeyes instead exposed catastrophic weaknesses in training systems, operational planning, and management competency that have transformed dining visits into exercises in frustration rather than celebrations of Louisiana-inspired cuisine. The chicken sandwich phenomenon that catapulted Popeyes into mainstream consciousness created operational demands that revealed just how unprepared corporate leadership was for sustained success. The viral marketing triumph became an operational nightmare as locations nationwide struggled with order volumes they had never experienced and supply chain requirements they couldn't meet. Rather than capitalizing on unprecedented consumer interest, Popeyes demonstrated that viral success without operational foundation creates more problems than solutions. Kitchen operations that once maintained Louisiana cooking traditions through careful seasoning and proper preparation timing now operate under emergency protocols designed to handle overwhelming demand rather than preserve food quality. The pressure to serve customers quickly has eliminated the attention to detail that originally distinguished Popeyes from generic fried chicken competitors. Spice profiles that made Popeyes chicken memorable have been compromised by rushed preparation and standardized shortcuts that prioritize speed over authentic flavor development. Management training programs appear designed for normal operations rather than the high-pressure environments that viral success created. Store managers lack the experience and tools necessary for handling the operational chaos that comes with sudden popularity increases. The result is leadership that responds to problems reactively rather than proactively, creating workplace environments where crisis management becomes the default operational mode instead of systematic excellence. Supply chain disruptions continue affecting menu availability as procurement systems struggle to meet demand levels that corporate planning never anticipated. The chicken sandwich shortages that initially created artificial scarcity and social media buzz now represent fundamental failures in inventory management and vendor relationships. Locations run out of signature items during peak periods, not because of overwhelming success, but because of systematic inability to predict and provision for customer demand. Employee training standards have deteriorated as locations prioritize getting bodies behind counters over ensuring staff competency. New hires receive minimal preparation for handling complex orders, operating kitchen equipment, or providing customer service that reflects the premium positioning Popeye's commands in the marketplace. The resulting confusion creates order errors, extended wait times, and customer interactions that feel more like survival exercises than professional hospitality experiences. Franchise oversight has become reactive rather than proactive as corporate resources focus on damage control rather than operational improvement. Individual locations receive minimal guidance for maintaining quality standards during high-volume periods, creating inconsistent experiences that undermine brand reputation. Store owners report feeling abandoned by corporate support systems that should provide solutions for managing unprecedented demand levels. The Louisiana hospitality that once complemented spicy chicken offerings has been replaced by overwhelmed staff who cannot provide friendly interactions when they're struggling to keep up with basic operational requirements. Customer service becomes secondary to simply getting orders out the door, eliminating the welcoming atmosphere that enhanced dining experiences and justified premium pricing for specialty chicken preparations. Quality control systems have collapsed under pressure as locations sacrifice consistency for speed. Chicken preparation that requires specific timing and temperature controls gets rushed through processes that compromise food safety and flavor development. The signature items that built Popeye's reputation now vary dramatically between locations and visits, destroying the reliability that converts viral visitors into loyal customers. The operational chaos extends beyond food preparation into basic restaurant functions like payment processing, order accuracy, and facility maintenance. Credit card systems malfunction during peak periods, creating additional delays and customer frustration. Order fulfillment becomes guesswork as kitchen communication breaks down under pressure, resulting in wrong items and missing components that turn simple purchases into complicated negotiations. Corporate communication with franchise operators has devolved into crisis management rather than strategic planning. Store owners receive reactive directives about handling problems rather than proactive guidance for preventing issues before they affect customer experiences. This firefighting mentality prevents the systematic improvements needed to transform viral success into sustainable operational excellence. The irony of Popeye's situation reflects broader problems in fast food management, where marketing success becomes operational failure. The chain achieved everything most restaurants dream of achieving through social media buzz and cultural relevance, only to demonstrate that corporate competency matters more than viral moments for long-term success. Without fundamental improvements in training, planning, and operational systems, Popeyes will continue struggling to capitalize on the unprecedented brand awareness that should have secured their position as the premium chicken destination. These 7 chains represent more than business failures. They expose a complete collapse of corporate accountability in an industry that directly affects millions of workers, customers, and communities. What were once reliable employers and consistent community gathering spots have deteriorated into cautionary examples of what happens when leadership prioritizes financial manipulation over basic operational competence. The damage stretches far beyond disappointing meals. Employees are left waiting for paychecks, suppliers chase overdue invoices, and franchise owners watch their life savings evaporate due to corporate decisions they had no control over. Neighborhoods lose familiar meeting places that once anchored local life, leaving behind empty storefronts and shattered trust. What makes these collapses especially tragic is that every one of these chains was once healthy. They had loyal customers, strong sales, and sustainable business models. The downfall came from deliberate choices, executives cutting corners, ignoring operational warnings, and chasing short-term financial gains at the expense of long-term stability and customer satisfaction. Your dining dollars should not fund dysfunction. They should support businesses that invest in their staff, maintain their equipment, honor their franchise partners, and respect the customers who keep them alive. The chains on this list abandoned those principles long ago, and the results are written clearly in their declining sales, shuttered locations, and shrinking customer bases. Choose restaurants that still value competence, consistency, and community. These 7 chains forgot the basics, and their empty parking lots stand as proof of what happens when corporations stop listening to the people they serve.